the Quran chronologically, the way it is arranged. Chapter 1, Suratul Fatiha, chapter 2, Suratul Baqarah, and you arrange it in that way, you get to 49. And that 49th is Suratul Hujurat. This surah is a very beautiful one. It is short, with 18 verses, relatively short, I should say, with 18 verses, 18 easy and loaded verses. Some of the verses are a bit lengthy, some are very short and brief, but they are all very deep and instructive. The surah was revealed in the 9th year of Hijrah, that is towards the end of the Prophet's life. And it was revealed at a similar time frame with Suratul Tawbah. And when we say towards the end of the Prophet's life, that means it's one of the late Madani surah, the surah that were revealed in Medina. So what we mean by Hujurat? That means when I say towards the end of Prophet's life, you see like when things are already established, the Muslim Ummah was already formed and everything was intact. People had already started making salat, they had already started giving zakat, and so on and so forth. So the word Hujurat is a plural word for Hujurah. Hujurat means rooms, and this is how the Arabs refer to rooms within a house. Hujurat, rooms within a house. Let's say you have a flat. You now say it is 3-bedroom flat, it is 4-bedroom flat. So the bedrooms there are called Hujurat. And one room is called Hujurah. That is one room in the plenty bedroom flat that we are talking about. And this also describing the kind of home of the Prophet. The home of the Prophet was adjacent to the masjid, meaning that if you open the door of his house, you just enter into the mosque. You open the door of the Prophet's house, the next step you take is you enter into the mosque. So within that house are room apartments for each of his wives. I want you to picture it in your head. The rooms of the wives are within that house. And so that means if the Prophet was inside the house, he could go into the rooms of each of his wives. And if he comes out of the house, he will come out into the masjid. So if you were to be allowed to enter into the house of the Prophet, you have to pass through the masjid to enter into the house of the Prophet. And that's very instructive. Each wife had a private apartment. So for those who do multiple wives, they need to understand that you don't put 2 wives inside one room like the way some people used to do it. It's not in line with the Sunnah. So each wife has her own private apartment. The name Hujurat was derived from the 4th verse in that Surah Hujurat. That is verse number 4, just like my brother recited it just now, that inna alladhina yunadunaka min wara'il hujurat aktharuhum la ya'qilun. That Hujurat is mentioned in that verse, and the main things about this surah that is so interesting is that there was a large influx of people into Islam as at the time this surah was revealed. The people were coming from all walks of life within the Arabian Peninsula. The population of the Muslims had grown very large. When Allah said, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. Allah said, when the Nasrullah, the victory of Allah comes, and wal-fathu, when the conquest of Mecca comes, وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, and you begin to see people trooping into Islam afwajan, in fluxes, They keep coming from here and there, all around and all over the Arabian Peninsula. They come on journey, they travel to say, yes, we want to come and accept Islam. It was taken then that before you could accept Islam, you had to come to where the Prophet was and do mubayah with him. And after a while, it was allowed that, well, you are a Muslim already, fine. You can stay wherever you are. But everybody, or most of the communities, and including individuals, they wanted to want to come and see the Prophet himself. We want to see this man. I can imagine if they say the Prophet has arrived in Abuja. Many of us don't be like, okay, I'll follow online. No, you don't want to follow online. We want to see him. Rasulullah, Allahu Akbar, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So with that kind of zeal, that kind of feeling that we love the messenger, we heard a lot about him, we want to see him, we want to feel him, we want to be in his presence, we want to ask him questions, we want to see him smile, we want to see him talk, we want to see if he looks like an angel or like a human. We want to, feel the vibe, we want to feel the energy of the prophets being around. So many people were coming into Medina at that time. They wanted to come and see the prophet. They wanted to come and live around the prophet. And these people that were coming, some of them had accepted Islam. In fact, let's say they had accepted Islam, but they were coming from various communities. Some of them were coming into Islam from Christianity. Some of them were coming into Islam as Jews, that's from Judaism. Some of them were atheists, idol worshippers, and so on and so forth. Some of them didn't even have any religion. And some of them had all sorts of ideas, all sorts of manners. And most of them from uncivilized communities, from the villages, let me use the word, from bush. And they also had diverse ideas and behaviors and characters. So these were the kind of people that were coming to look for the prophet. Now look at it. You are going to see why it is so interesting now. The people that were coming in with all of these behaviors, now you can expect that, number one, their behaviors had not been cohesive. Their behaviors and their patterns of life have not been harmonized. They just merely or barely heard about Islam, but the culture from which all of them were coming was still in their blood. The tribes from which they were coming was still very much superior in their heads. They still had this tribalism. They still had this tribal superiority. They still feel, yes, our tribe has accepted Islam and nobody does it better than us. They still feel like, okay, the whole of our families have accepted Islam. We are coming en masse, all of us. And some people were like, well, I know the kind of life I was living. He knows, I don't want to use myself, he knows he was a drunkard. He knows he was a womanizer. He knows he was a thief. He knows he was this and that. He knows he was a corrupt politician. He knows all of these things. And now I'm a Muslim, and it is said that when you become a Muslim and you proclaim the kalima, then you are saved from hellfire. But will these habits just die so quickly like that? Will these characters and behaviors just go away just like that? Somebody who had been used to worshiping idols, they had certain things in their families that they were putting red oil on every week, or the ones that they were using sacrificial animals for every month. And they had some of the things they were using for protection from evil, especially when you wanted to go on a journey. You can imagine it's like somebody had to go and worship their idol because he wants to travel to go and see Muhammad. We have accepted Islam now, but we have to do this so that we can be protected on the way. Or somebody who believes that there are some liars or some things, some charms, some amulets that he needs to tie on himself while on a journey. He still wanted to go and see Rasulullah, and he still used this thing so that he will be protected. So the understanding of Islam was not so much, was not so high. It was just superficial to say, yes, we now believe and we are now Muslims. Allahu Akbar. So it is in this way that the Suratul Hujurat, among the scholars who do Tafsir, This is why they also call the surah the Suratul Akhlaq, or Suratul Adab, or Suratul Akhlaq wal Adab, the surah of ethics, characters, manners, behavior. Because in essence, this is, for most part of the surah, this is what this surah is talking about. The surah that will teach people how to behave after they had accepted Islam. It is one step to accept Islam, and it's another step for you to be trained in the akhlaq, the etiquettes of Islam, in the manners of Islam. Someone who is a grown-up adult, there's only one way he knew how to handle his life. Now he has accepted Islam, he may not be able to be accustomed to everything, every practice of Islam or of Islamic belief all of a sudden. Imagine somebody who is just converting to Islam today from Christianity or from atheism or from some part of the world. And the person had never, this man is 50 years old, he had never for once used water to clean himself in the toilet. He had always been using tissue paper. And he wanted to start using water all of a sudden. There's a way he feels. It's because all of you are used to it. That's why it's normal for you. And you know, even when you use tissue paper, you don't feel you are clean enough. And reverse that, you know, flip it the other way around. Somebody who has always been using tissue paper, and you say you have to use water this time around. Or somebody who has not been used to performing ghusl after anything. And you say, look, this thing that you have done, you have to perform ghusl. Now you can imagine how difficult it could be for such a person that is coming with that kind of mindset into Islam. And let me tell you this mindset that is so interesting. You are going to feel what I felt when somebody asked me this question. Long ago, I was in one place far away. Far from where, I don't want to tell you. So one woman asked a question. She said, please, are you listening? Because I said it's a woman that asked the question. Listen. The woman said, is it true that we are going to bath, ritual bath, after we have relations with our husband? That was the question. That is it true that we're going to do ritual bath after we had conjugal relation with our husband? I was like, it's true now. Why did you think it is not true? Whenever a woman, then I went all through those fickle things, you know. I was extremely young that time. This is over 25 years ago. You are calculating my age, wa? You will always be wrong. Ask my mother. I said, okay, when a woman is, I just finished her menses, when a woman had intercourse with her husband, when a woman just finished the bleeding of childbirth, you know, I was explaining all of those ones. I even added Jara, when the person is just coming to Islam, even for a dead body, even what we do for a dead body is a kind of ghusl also. Those kind of things. Ordinarily ones on Jumat, you can even do ghusl, you get reward. After I finished all of that one, I still saw that she was not so satisfied. And she was saying, so it is true that somebody will have to bath even after having intercourse with one's husband. I said, yes. She said she didn't know. She thought if you have intercourse with somebody else that's not your husband, that is when you now bath so as to remove the sin. I said, no, madam, it's not like that. I said, no, madam, it's not like that. This was not a very small woman. I'm telling you about, you know, age, kind of. In fact, she was almost like 10 to my age that time. And she accepted Islam, and she was wondering, which one is this Wahala again? We have stopped all of those ones. So why should we still be doing ghusl? After all, it's just our husbands that we do it with. Now you can imagine that kind of thinking. What if she didn't ask that question, honestly? And it meant, this is the dangerous part of it, it meant that even as at that time, as at that point, she was not too sure if it is such a bad thing to sleep with somebody else apart from one's husband. I don't know if you understand what that meant, because there's a way she asked the question, and I got the message. I later sought an audience with her and with other ladies that made me to be able to confirm this assertion that I'm making. That possibly she didn't think, and some of the other ladies later, they didn't think it was such a bad thing. To have man friend, to have concubine was not a big deal then to some of them. Even up till now, some of you are looking at me somehow, even up till now, in some places, they still don't see anything bad in having side chicks. Do you agree with me? Yeah, they still have side chicks, they still, and some brothers are so diligent and so full of iman that even if they sleep with their side chicks, they'll still do ghusl. Allahu Akbar. They'll still do ghusl for you to see how strong their iman is. Astaghfirullah. A'udhu billah. They still do ghusl. Somebody asked me some time ago that if somebody should do something with another person that's not one's wife, and he had his wristwatch on. No, he didn't specify not one's wife. He said somebody should do something with a woman with the wristwatch on. Would the person need to do ghusl and wash the wristwatch? No kind of thing Musa never see forget to. There's no question people will not ask. So I now asked him, I said, are you married? He just went, so he just laughed. That means he was not married and was asking that kind of question as if he knew fiqh so much, or as if he's so interested in knowing fiqh so that, sorry, I didn't know I'm going to laugh like this. The fast was really heavy on me when I entered here, you noticed. So he felt he had iman enough, and he felt he wanted to practice Islam well enough not to get his ghusl wrong. So he wanted to be sure that if he bathed with the ghusl, he would need to wash the wristwatch before putting it on, before he makes salat. But he was not asking whether what he did with somebody who was not his wife, whether it was right or wrong. You get that gist now. These were the kind of people that were coming into Islam, and the Prophet ﷺ had to bear with so many of them. Did you remember this hadith? Brother, did you remember the hadith of a young man who came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to do Islam very well, but on one condition, that you allow me to commit zina. Did you hear that hadith? That one condition, you just allow me, because this Islam thing now is not so hard, but this particular one, if you can just excuse me, because you know the way they will say in Lagos, you know, that kind of thing. And the Prophet said, okay, if they did it with your sister, will you be happy? If somebody else did it with your mother, if somebody else did it with your daughter, that kind of hadith, you remember it very well. It is those kind of people that were coming into Islam with one form of comma, semicolon, or the other about Islam that I would have loved to, but this particular one, I would have been a better Muslim now, but this one they say I should stop working in so and so place because of riba. How am I going to survive now? You know, those kind of questions. So that is why it was called Suratul Akhlaq, the surah of etiquette, the surah of manners, the surah of mannerism, the surah of modesty, and whatever name you want to call it, as long in line with that kind of thesaurus. This surah was also revealed because there was no need and there was no point in having a large population whose hearts are not united. There was no need in having a large population of Muslims that are not civilized. There was no need in having large population of Muslims that lack morals. There was no good in having multitude of Muslims that are true believers. They bring more harm than good to Islam. There was no use in somebody saying, I've now accepted Islam, And this person doesn't understand basically how to live with fellow human beings. There was no use in somebody saying he's now a Muslim and the person still behaves with that behavior of Jahiliyyah. Your strength is not necessarily in your numbers. That is what this surah is trying to teach us. And you get to see nowadays, say, what's the population of Muslims in so part of the world? Yes, 100%. What's the population of Muslims in so part of the country? They say, yes, 80%. Some people will even begin to argue, yes, we have more Muslims here, we have more Muslims there. We can have many Muslims, but what is the quality of these Muslims? What is the mindset of these Muslims? With which moral compass do these Muslims operate? Why is it that these Muslims will join up together in the masjid in multitudes, but when they disperse and everybody goes back to their businesses, we begin to see certain results that do not reflect the fact that we just prayed with a lot of people in the masjid now? When you tap some Muslims, when you press the numbers of some Muslims, the kind of ringtones that you get from there can get you deaf. The kind of ringtones that come from the Muslims that you are dialing can be so bad that it is better that you remain in voice note or in voicemail than for someone to have responded to you. The kind of crop of Muslims that you begin to see, you don't see civility in many of us. You don't see morality in many of us. You don't see uprightness in a lot of us. You don't see sincerity in many of us. We can pretend, we can show off, we can hide, we can put off a face. But in reality, the real moralities that are expected of us are not there. And it's affecting a whole lot of things, affecting a whole lot of people. Let me tell you one personal experience. I traveled to a part of this country at a point, and I went with my wife. You know, one of them. And when we got there, I was asking for the rooms and the room rates, because it was getting dark, and we needed to stay in that hotel. Only for the, what do they call this, receptionist. Only for one of them to ask me and say, is it short time or long time? I didn't understand that then. I said, we are just spending the night because we are in transit. We are going somewhere and we felt we shouldn't be arriving at where we are going at night. Actually, I had a lecture then. It was supposed to be in the morning, but we decided to travel a day before so that in the morning, we'll just commit straight to the lecture hall. I said, we are spending the night. She said, okay. Then she looked at my wife, seated in the reception. I said, yes, that is my wife. She said, okay. Then I now, but why did you ask whether the show? He said he felt in just a few hours. So when she said that, some wind just blew my head. I was like, oh, I said, don't worry, we are not interested again. But we are not staying again. She said, no problem. There are different room rates. There are different prices. That's why she was telling me that. That's so that I don't have to pay, for a room for 24 hours when I only spend few hours there. And she made me look as if, well, I was just trying to help you now. I didn't want to just spend money. I said, don't worry, we'll spend money. We have money to spend. So I turned around, called my madam, and said, let's go. Let's just go. Don't even look back. Let's go. So we went away. We went to another place where alhamdulillah, they didn't ask that question. The reason why I felt insecure was that so they even thought that with this my game, with this my beard, with my madam wearing hijab like you ladies here, somebody could still think. But okay, but why am I? What what have they not seen? What kind of case has Musa not seen at the gate? I stopped getting angry and I started feeling, bad that, but has it gone so bad like this? Is it so bad like this? And we are supposed to be Muslims. Oh Allah, please forgive all of us. And what some of us have done to some of us is not nice, so may Allah forgive all of us. Nobody even respect. Even when you say you are Malam, that's when they even Abba, which one? Abba, I beg, forget about that one. And you wear hijab like this, Abba. If somebody who does some of those rubbish things should wear hijab like you, won't it stay on her? Some of them will even look beautiful in that hijab. If I don't want to mention names so that you don't think I'm saying it's a particular religious or tribal groups that do this thing. If they wear khimar, wear niqab, and would it not stay on them? Allah didn't say it's only Muslim women that hijab will stay on their head. And there are so many they carry all around, they have to dress like that so that when somebody like you wearing jalabia, someone like Amir wearing beards, you carry them, nobody will suspect. Oh, Allah, please forgive us. So what we are saying is that the surah is teaching us that your strength is not necessarily in your numbers. At some other instances, you hear that some people have accepted Islam, Allah Akbar, oh, mashallah, the whole family accepted Islam, the whole community accepted Islam. After they have accepted Islam, they now call you and say, come, we don't have food to eat, oh. And because they have accepted Islam, they will tell you, look, we need a place to stay. If not, our families have sent us away from the homes. If not, the place we are working, they will give us, what do they call it? They will fire us where we are working because we are now Muslims. Now, rather than you that did dawah to now go face your own family, you now begin to think about, okay, what are we actually going to feed them? In other words, sometimes we have multitudes of people that are weak. We have multitudes of people coming to Islam that cannot stand for themselves, that cannot defend themselves. We have stopped having people like Umar ibn Khattab that will accept Islam and will say, okay, anybody wants to stop me, if you dare, come and try to stop me. Now, you will not blame Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Suratul was revealed, when the Prophet was speaking to some powerful people, and Abdullah ibn Maktoum, the blind man, came around rushing and said, Muhammad, I need your attention. And Prophet turned away from him and be like, let me just finish with these people first. Because once these guys accept Islam, we can be very sure that even you that is coming, they will even help you too. After, when they are helping Islam, and assisting the multitude of the Muslims that have accepted and been persecuted, these rich guys are going to be over. That was the Prophet's thinking then. But it is not as if he committed a sin. It's not as if he was wrong in his strategy. It is just that for that time being, and because of the special case of Abdullah ibn Maktoum, I revealed that surah. That, look, maybe, why don't you think that even that Abdullah Maktoum was a serious person, much more serious man, and already ready to accept that phone is going to be a piece of cake for you. This long explanation you are making oligarchs and monarchs, this one is ready. And don't forget, Abdullah ibn Maktoum was amongst those who went to Medina earlier before Rasulullah. They were the ones who went to do the grand works, the preliminary dawah. Before the Prophet came, it was not ordinary that people were singing Tola Ali Badru Alayna for the Prophet when he came. Someone like that, Abdullah ibn Maktoum, was already there, and he was doing dawah. So that case, in my own opinion, was a special case. This is my own very small personal opinion, was a special case. But that didn't mean that the Muslims would neglect the people that will come into Islam and bring power to Islam, and bring worth to Islam, bring value to Islam, and bring authority to Islam that will benefit Islam and add a lot more to Islam than remove from Islam. See, I'm still talking about introduction to this surah. How many people do we feed in Ramadan? Why do we have to feed them? Because they don't have. So many of them don't have what to eat. And so many of us, we are so happy and proud that we feed X thousands of people during Ramadan. And we are happy about it. And we feel such a nice thing to have to feed thousands of people every day in Ramadan. And nobody needs to tell you that these guys, if you didn't feed them, there will be no food for them. And we do that day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, up until the 29 or 30 days of Ramadan. And after Ramadan, they all dissipate and disappear. And nobody cares what they eat for the next 11 months. And we now be this, contributing money amongst ourselves to say, okay, let's feed them, let's feed them, let's feed them. Feeding is very important. But why do we have to have so many to feed? Why will it not be like the time of like Umar ibn Abdulaziz, when it was reportedly said that they took zakat all around and there was nobody to accept? I already paid my own, I don't need zakat. I thought we would cook food and we'll be waiting for people who are indigent to come and eat and will not find. It is then we should be happy. But now, even if you budget for 1,000, 1,500 will show up. If you had budgeted for 2,000 people, 3,000 people will show up. In a particular masjid, they fed 2,200 people and about 100 extra didn't get food. I'm telling you, pretending. They really look like people who will not have food to eat, if you look at them very well. And you know what is most painful? These are young people. Young people, virile, strong. Some of them are still intelligent, if hunger not dried up the little intelligence they had. It pains me that it is still like the time when this Suratul Hujurat was revealed to the Prophet. Because amongst the people who are coming in, there are people who will come and say, Ya Rasulallah, see, we have accepted Islam now, but there's no food. What are we going to eat? Shouldn't we be living around here? And then you have the concept of Ahlul Sufa, the people who don't have anything to do anywhere, they just sit around the courtyard of the Prophet's masjid, waiting for anybody that will come and give them something. When they brought gift for the Prophet, then the Prophet will share amongst them. That was then. I thought that was when Islam was just starting. But up till now, we still have such situations. This gives me running stomach. Oh, Allah have mercy on us in this deen. Oh, Allah have mercy on us and elevate us in this deen. And I'm still saying this even among those who eat in Ramadan. How many have enough resources to give zakat? And this is the part that I feel sad the most about. The nisab for zakat now is about 8 million. Somebody will confirm. I'm not exactly very sure. Before the rise in dollar and stuff like that, it used to be 1 point something, then 2 point something million. There was a time I had it was close to 3 million naira. But now, as we speak today, please check to be sure. This is Ramadan 1445. Try to be sure. It's to be around 8 million naira. I beg you, who has 8 million naira plus for 1 year that you didn't touch or that is revolving? Look, the whole of your salary in the whole 1 year. Salah. Oh. The whole of your salary. Don't even go there. Let's even assume that you don't spend your salary at all. And the whole of your salary for the whole year. Please, so how much is it? Borrow me calculator now. How much? How much is it? It's not even close to anything. Talk less of it now passes 8 milli. And then you will now have to give zakat from there. Astaghfirullah. Let me exaggerate. 98% of Muslims in this community now needs to be given zakat by only 2%. How far can that go now? How far can it go? The Suratul Hujurat is for all of us. Not only for those people who are just coming into Islam those days. It's for all of us because there are many things that we are lacking. Now these people then were accused of, or they were confirmed to lack certain moralities and stuff like that, because usually they say when somebody accepts Islam, you just proclaim the kalima, ashhadu, ashhadu. It's a very beautiful moment. Ashhadu, ashhadu. Allah, Allah, ilaha, ilaha, illa, illa, Allahu, Allahu, wa, ashhadu, ashhadu, anna, anna, Muhammadan, Muhammadan, Rasulullah, Rasulullah, Allahu Akbar. Is that all? Is that it? The person has known everything about Islam? Or the person has been able to drop some of the habits and attitudes they had before? Has that person suddenly learned how to keep away from haram? Has that person suddenly learned how to seek a livelihood that will not lead him to the same hellfire he was running away from? Has that made the person to drop the habit of smoking, of being drugs, of masturbating, of being hooked on adult pictures and movies? All of these things are the things that we as an ummah should begin to think about. And let me quickly summarize for you that this surah deals with three main themes, three main areas. And there are 18 verses. Verses 1 to 5 deals with how to relate with Allah and His Rasul, with Allah and His Messenger. You see that, inshallah, we shall recite it when we have a little more time. Then verses 6 to 12 is about how to relate with one another in brotherhood and the sort of behaviors that can invalidate your strength as an ummah. The kind of behavior that will even remove you from being an ummah. And the kind of behaviors that may likely happen but shouldn't happen. Like one of the verses says, if, for example, when two factions or two groups of believers should fight, then you should make peace between them. That verse is talking about fighting. Over what? After all of this belief, all this iman, all this love of the Prophet, all this hadith, all this everything, then we see fight. And the Quran says, no, settle them. فَإِنْ بَغَدْ إِحْدَاهُمَا عَلَى الْأُخْرَى فَقَاتِلُوا الَّتِي تَبْغِي حَتَّى تَفِيءَ إِلَى أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. Even if one party should try to dominate the other one, that's bagha, that is past their boundary against the other. Then all of you should rise and fight against those ones. So when they follow the commands of Allah to make peace between themselves. And you begin to be like, but should the Muslims still be doing that? Should the Muslims still be fighting among themselves? Should they still be quarreling amongst themselves? Should they still be having this strife over superiority of culture among themselves? Okay, my culture better than your culture. This is our culture. Our culture is superior to other cultures. We are the ones who practice Islam better than you. Should the believers still be doing that? This is why this Hujurat is a surah for all ages, for all time, and for all communities. Because you are still going to be finding traces and parts of some of these things in many communities. And the last part of the surah, the third theme of the surah from verses 13 to 18, clarifies the true nature of faith and belief. It's not enough to just name the kalima like we said, and we say that's all. They say, Amanna, we already believe now. We are believers, mashallah, we are believers. The Quran says, you don't believe yet. Because faith has not found its way into your heart. Faith has not entered to your heart yet. You are just trying to fake it till you make it. So you are still in the process of faking it. You have not made it yet. So these are the three divisions of this surah. And if Allah permits, we are going to see how far we can go with at least the first part of it. And then everybody should go home and study the remaining part of this surah from the way it was divided. I pray Allah should make it easy for all of us. So please let my brother read the first verses for us. Let's say 1 to 2 or 3. Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم.
نعم.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول.
نعم.
ولا تجهروا له بالقول كجهر بعضكم فوق لبعض كجهر بعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
Thank you very much. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, oh you have believed. Now you see, this shows that this is a Madani surah towards the end of the Prophet's life, and Allah was addressing those who have already believed. And this belief will not be enough until when you learn certain things, certain codes, ethics, and compass for morality and behavior. Or you believe, La tuqaddimu bayna yadayi Allahi wa rasuli. Don't put yourself before Allah and His Rasul. That's, don't put yourself in front of Allah and His Messenger. Like the yadai means two hands. Don't put yourself between the two hands of Allah and His Rasul. Meaning that within that span, this is Allah, this is Rasul, almost as if physically. Don't put yourself in their midst. And what that actually means is, don't prefer your own opinions and your own whims and caprices. Don't make it take precedence over the decision of Allah and His Rasul. And don't adopt independent opinions in matters and pass His own judgment without caring to find out whatever Allah and His Rasul have said, or whatever Allah and His Rasul have given as guidance on those matters. So that is why it is said, oh, you believe, don't put yourself before. That is, don't follow your own whims. Don't follow your own opinion. Don't come up with your own judgment over and above the judgment of Allah and His Rasul. And there's a lot that these scholars have explained about this. Possibly and partly, there was a time when the Prophet ﷺ was to send somebody or ask somebody to decide for him on a matter. And some of the senior companions had some other opinion that, look, no, what of those person? We are suggesting this other person, we are suggesting that other person. Something like that. And it is said that, look, the Prophet was not speaking out of his own whims. Whatever he says, he has said it in authority. That's number one. Another one is the fact that everything that we do as Muslims, we must find out the hukm of Allah. We must find out the rulings of Allah on such matters, so much so that it is not our cultural beliefs, it is not our established mindsets that should take precedence in matters of what is supposed to be determined in every issue, whether it is personal or social or legislative in our lives. And concerning that one that is legislative, Muaz bin Jabal, the Prophet ﷺ, was to send him to Yemen. And this in a tradition reported in Musnad Ahmad, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and Ibn Majah. The summary of that was the Prophet was sending Muaz bin Jabal to Yemen as a judge of the Yemenis. And the Prophet said, when you get there, what will you use in deciding the matters amongst the people? Muaz said, yes, I'm going to use the book of Allah to judge in their matters. And the Prophet said, what if what you are looking for, you couldn't find it directly in the book of Allah? He said, then I'm going to to your sunnah, your practices, what you have said, what you have done, what you have approved. And Prophet said, what if it was so unique that you couldn't find it directly? He said, then I'm going to exert and find a solution by myself. And Prophet said, Alhamdulillah, Prophet placed his hand on the chest of Muaz bin Jabal, and Prophet said, we give thanks to Allah who has helped his messenger's deputy to adopt the way that's approved by his messenger. Meaning that Prophet approved that, okay, it's until when you couldn't find in any of these, then you can begin to make effort to look at other sources. And these other sources too, when we trace them very well, they still have to be returned back to the same thing. So in other words, we must ensure as believers that we take to the commands of Almighty Allah. We must keep away from secret intentions, and we must ensure that we don't begin to say, okay, I prefer that one, I don't prefer that one. And when Allah and His Rasul say something that we like and that's in agreement with our own desire, we say, yes, that's very true. Yes, that's how it's supposed to be. But when it is something that we disagree with, we now begin to look for some other ways of either justifying or pushing it away and stuff like that. There's this example I always like to give sometimes. People are believers, no doubt about it. But when it comes to certain businesses that are quite shady and that have haram things in them, then you see people will begin to give some modifications, trying to say, okay, there's no other way, this is the only way you find now, then you can just do it for now and Allah will forgive us, Allah will understand. And let me tell you the one that is trending. When it comes to matters of polygamy, for example, or polygyny, people believe in Allah. Wallahi, I tell you, people will do everything. They will do whatever thing, fasting. But when it comes to down the line, you see, it's only for those who are able to do it. We don't have the power to do that now. Economic situations, circumstances, as if everybody was a millionaire at the time this verse of polygyny was revealed. As if the whole of the Muslim communities, they all had private jets that time. This is a challenge on people's iman. We say we have iman, but okay, what of this one? No, we can't do that. Somebody once told me, I said, your husband, they said he wanted to marry you the other time. He said, assist, marry somebody else, I will poison him. And the husband was there. The husband's name was Abdulaziz, so she called Aziz, marry, I will poison him. The other was there, and the husband was just... From the way I look at the husband's face, the husband knew that, yes, she said the truth. And the husband now said to me that, Ustadh, he said in Yoruba, but let me say it in English. He said, Ustadh, don't be surprised though, she can do it. Don't be surprised, she can do it. She can actually poison me for real. I was like, what kind of thing is this? I saw another one. The woman said, no, Ustadh, I can never accept. I can't accept it. Me? I can never. And this woman wears niqab. I'm looking at her just like you, my sister here. Not you, but like you. And she wears the niqab. She said, never, Ustadh, never. I can never. I said, oh, well, we can't do anything about it now. So I said to the husband, I said, look, if in the day of judgment people are talking about people with polygamy, count yourself out. If they say the verse of Christ is talking about polygamy, they are not talking to you. The Quran is talking to somebody else. So don't put yourself into something that you know will be a lot of problem for you. I mentioned it to him like that so that he will not feel bad that the wife has stopped him from doing it. But the wife was wearing these things with gloves. Gloves. May Allah forgive us. So sorry, I'm just using that as an example. There are many other things. Economic situation. Corruption in Nigeria as an example. Okay, yes, thank you, my sister. Let me leave that one myself. Why do I always talk about polygamy? In Nigeria now, let me be specific. When people are not benefiting from corruption, they call it corruption. But when people are benefiting from corruption, they call it connection. Then you now say, now how did you manage to, you bought 6 houses in an estate? You'll be like, alhamdulillah, I had some connection in the villa. I had some connection in the villa. Ya Abdul Jalal wal Ikram. Connection is what people call it when they are benefiting from it. And all of us that are here, all of us, I'm looking at your faces. When these things come, you will not remember these things I'm saying. You just be like, okay, there's this MICA masjid that MICA to build. Then you just put your hand into corruption. Then they give you some big shares. And then you be like, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Didn't you notice how Nigerians are overcrowding haram when they go for Umrah? Didn't you see how Nigerians are plenty in Umrah? This Zamzam hotel, one of the biggest and most expensive, you see many Nigerians there. Why do you think they go there? And do you think they don't pay to be there? Astaghfirullah, I'm just generalizing. No, I'm generalizing. But some of us, we have read the hadith that if you go on Umrah and you did very well, Allah will forgive your sins. True or false? So we begin to be smart. Yes, still plenty money. Go on Umrah, ask Allah's forgiveness, come back home and say, alhamdulillah, mashallah, naji nadaw. I've gone and I've come. Then you now look for the next one that you are going to steal. Oh, Allah forgive us. I'm just generalizing. I'm not saying that's how everybody does. But the truth of the matter is, may Allah not try us with some situations and circumstances that will make us to push aside the law of Almighty Allah. If you still have your situation the way you are still managing your life, you are still struggling and hustling, you should still be grateful to Allah, because any other thing apart from that, as we speak now, will have just landed you in hellfire. Never you blame too much people you see into those corrupt practices. They never intended that they would do that. But when these things present themselves, they turn to something else. Have you just seen, even people who are supposed to be nice, by the time they get to certain positions, they stop being nice. Have you just seen people who are supposed to be good people naturally? By the time some wealth or some resources get to their hands, or they get to some positions of authority to make commands, then they just become wicked. They become heartless. This is a very great trial. But if you are still managing your life, you are still going on, you are still able to put Allah and His Rasul first before taking any decision. You are still able to be considerate of Allah's command. Then you should be grateful to Allah that maybe this is where you are supposed to be for now. And Allah will continue to elevate you as He increases your iman, is going to increase your provision, so that you don't fall into whatever is haram. And come to even think of it, whether you are extremely rich or you are not that rich, we all share some things in common. Good health is part of it. It doesn't matter whether you're a VIP or VVIP. If you are sick, you are sick. There's nothing you can do about it. And with so many other things that Allah has done, look at you, my sisters, look at your children. If you tell them, sit down there, they will sit down, mommy, when should I get up? They will not say, mommy, I will not sit down. They will say, mommy, I'm sitting down, when will I get up? If you command them to go to Islamiyah, you see them quickly pack their Quran. And you see them hurrying, you see them making effort, packing their Quran, carrying their book. What happens? Say, I'm looking for my Quran, I'm going to Islamiyah. If Allah has blessed you with those kind of children, you don't know what Allah has done for you. You don't need corruption before you can make a good life with peace of mind, if you understand what I mean. May Allah forgive us. So in other words, that first verse, I'm trying to summarize it. It's a long explanation. I just cut it short. The first verse is telling us that don't put yourself, your opinion, or your outlook on life, or your cultural belief, or your mindset before Allah and His Rasul. Every other thing should come after you've seen what Allah and His Rasul have said. You are supposed to follow Allah and His Rasul. Ati'ullaha wa ati'ur Rasul. You are supposed to follow Allah and His Rasul, obey Allah and His Rasul, not to want Allah and His Rasul to understand when you are doing the things that just come to your head. The second verse, Allah still called those who believe again, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. La tarfa'u aswatakum. Okay, we have read that one. Yes, wattaqullah, and be conscious of Allah. Thank you for reminding me of that. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih, wattaqullah, and be conscious of Allah. Inna Allah Samiyun Alim, because Allah is all hearing and is all knowing of everything that you are thinking you know. Allah is all hearing. Allah hears all of these opinions you thought you had. And be conscious of Allah, because Allah knows you very well. And this consciousness, taqwa, this is part of what we get in fasting and many other acts of ibadat. And in our everyday life, including following Allah and His Rasul, we need that God consciousness, that taqwa. Consciousness comes in ways. We have God consciousness, we have ego consciousness, and we have group consciousness. The one of God consciousness, we are all aware of that. You know Allah is watching you. You know Allah knows your intentions. Allah knows what you are trying to hide, what you are trying to conceal. But ego consciousness is for you to be conscious of yourself and who you are. Who exactly are you? What exactly are you here to do? Even if you don't know who you are, you should know whom you are. If you don't know who you are, you should know that you belong to Allah. That's whom you are. And this ego consciousness is so much so that this tendency to want to behave the way you want, to want to do as you want to treat people the way you like to treat them, to want to talk to people without editing yourself because you are better than them in your own head, the way you want to feel superior to other people, this ego of stubbornness, of not wanting to listen to advice, or not wanting to be corrected, or not wanting to be criticized that many people have, this is part of the consciousness that Allah is calling our attentions to. And like I was saying about how some of us can be very rash, uncultured, and unmannered, you need to see how some men behave towards their wives in the homes. They behave like the Lord of the universe. They behave like a lion. They behave like they have the DNA. If you do DNA test, you can trace them to Abu Lahab. As the great descendants of Abu Lahab, Wamura'atuhu. Those were his parents. And some people behave in the same way we see some bad guys behave in the Quran. The way Fir'aun used to behave, with pride and arrogance. Not because people have not been telling you about their personal lives. You'll be shocked the way some men will just put down the rules and regulations, say this is how it must be, and nobody can dare change it, would dare change it as it is. This is the ego that we are supposed to fight if we are to have taqwa, fear of Allah. So this ego consciousness, for you to recognize your limits in following your own desires. And then the last one is the group consciousness. Oh, I belong to this group. Don't you know who I am? I belong to this tribe. Don't you know my name? I am from the royal family. Don't you know that my father was a king? I belong to family of scholars. Don't you know that my great-grandfather was the imam of 17 villages all at once? All of these things, group consciousness, including Islam. Some of us would like to carry the Islam on our heads without practicing the Islam. Some of us will have that, and so what can they do to us? Let me give you an example. We can build a masjid in a community of people that those who surround that masjid are not Muslims. And then we mount a loudspeaker and we'll call Fajr as loud as we can, and we'll be like, who can challenge us? Are we not practicing our religion? If the Prophet were here, do you think the Prophet would do that? Would the Prophet wake non-Muslims up for Fajr? We call 2 adhans. Would the Prophet do that? The Prophet won't do that because the Prophet is not like us. We are the only ones who say, yes, we are Muslims. Yes. We have that group consciousness to the extent that we now think we have the right to behave in certain ways that nobody dares challenge us. That's group consciousness, that we Muslims are the ones here, so nobody can, hey, what? I witnessed at a Jumat, the khutbah was still going on. Some of the Muslims, I want to say quote and unquote now, have blocked the road with their cars. And some non-Muslims who had the right to the same road They were trying to negotiate, trying to pass. And one other Muslim, quote unquote, just overtook him and parked right in front of him. And he just came out of his car, boom, banged the car, and then held his tasbih and his prayer mat, and the man was, please, Oga, I beg, come on. He said, wait, won't I go and pray? Wait. He was saying that to the woman who was in the car with her children. Maybe they just went for school runs, and maybe they were trying to go back home. What kind of consciousness is that? That's not what consciousness is. Think about that. Which Sahaba would do that? Which Sahaba would do that? Which believer would behave like that? Very inconsiderate, some of us. Very uncultured, some of us. Very uncivilized, some of us. And then after we block the road like that, you think they connive with the Imam. The Imam too will now read long surah. Oh, somebody help me. I remember I quoted about this with one Imam one day. He didn't like me from that day on. Look, apart from that, people were praying outside of the masjid, though, with the hot sun. If you should make sujood like this, you know what it is now, brother. You know what it is. And then it's a sudden trial of your iman to see whether you're going to stay without raising your head before the Imam does. Subhanallah. And you think that your iman is weak if you put handkerchief. You will not want anybody to see you do that. And then you'll be like, okay, this is the floor, this is my prayer mat. Especially if you are so unlucky. You go with your prayer mat and you spread it, horizontally. You know what I mean now, brother? If it is in portrait form, then the prayer mat will be long enough for you to make your sujood on prayer mat. Some guys will come without their own prayer mat. They want to share with you. Then you spread it that way. In fact, your knee will hardly stay on the prayer mat. You get the picture, eh? So you now made the sujood. The place was hot. The Imam was reading, whether he was reading Al-Qunut in sujood. A'udhu billah. Then after he has read very long surah, I witnessed that once or twice. Now, this is how we become, when we talk about Muslims of those days, we talk about people who don't have iman, many of us used to think it's far away. It is still here, Wakiri is happening. It's real time. It is trending. And then when the Imam will now stay for long like that, and then the people that we have blocked because we want to rush to catch the congregation, they will just be there looking at us like this. They will shake their heads, they will complain, there's nothing they can do. Some of us are so bad that even the law enforcement agents who are directing us, we like to make trouble with them. Then we just do that. And this will have to wait patiently, even if they won't be patient. What can they do? They have to wait till when we finish our thing. They don't finish. Let them come and move off the way. And then we now reluctantly come around as if we just saw an angel in the masjid. Then we now enter into our car and drive off as if nothing happened. Honestly, this thing, they pain me. I'm not feeling very happy about it. And I don't know who is going to address it. These things are happening in the cities. Now, this group consciousness, if we use it wrongly, is going to affect us. I thought group consciousness is supposed to make us to unanimously do the right thing, do the correct thing, arrange ourselves, be orderly. Some other people are orderly. I don't want to say more than that. You notice these things on Sundays. And you see the way they pack their things as if Julius Berger came to use a crane to arrange the cars. Yes, as you almost, yes, as if they just drop, you will almost think as if they are even selling cars, the way they will arrange those cars. They may even block each other, but they have an instruction that once the service is over, everybody go out and pick. Then, but at home, somebody wants to do azkar, and your car is blocking about 50 people who is doing azkar in the masjid. They say, Salaam alaikum. They say car number so is blocking. Some people say, Astaghfirullah. Then you'll be there doing some holy things like that, as if what? We do that in Taraweeh also, and Astaghfirullah. Sorry, I hope I'm not saying too much. because of this device here. I wish they were not recording anything. I would have told you a lot more about what is paining me. May Allah forgive us. So that consciousness, Allah said, Wattaqullah, drop your group consciousness, drop your ego consciousness, and adopt only God consciousness. Do it because Allah says so, not because it's convenient for you to block the road. Do it because Allah says so, not because it is convenient for you, because you like it or you don't like it. Not until we do that, that we are truly going to be the believers that the Prophet ﷺ wished us to be. Inna Allah Sami'un Alim. Allah is all hearing, Allah is all knowing. Now let's pick one more verse before we have our lives back, inshallah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول ولا تجهروا له بالقول لبعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشكرون.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you believe again, لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي. Don't raise your voice above the voice of the Rasul. You remember the first one? Don't take precedence of your own whims, against the commandments of Allah and the injunctions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This time around, don't even raise your voice above them. وَلَا تَجْهَرُوا لَهُ بِالْقَوْلِ كَجَارِ بَعْضِكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ. And don't be loud to him in speech, like the loudness of some of you to others. أَن تَحْبَطُ أَعْمَالُكُمْ. So that your deeds will not become wasted. وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. Without you realizing it, without you perceiving that your deeds are being wasted. This is the etiquette that was taught to the people who sat among the audience of the Prophet ﷺ, or those who came to visit him. You remember we said these people used to come here and there. The intention was that the believer should treat the Prophet with the highest respect and reverence. Whenever they visited him or whenever they were talking to him, they were supposed to do that with respect and honor. And you see, Allah here is teaching us on our manners before the Prophet ﷺ. Nobody should raise his voice louder than his own voice, and the people should not be unmindful of the fact that they are addressing the messenger of Allah and not a common person or a person of equal rank with them. So therefore, there should be a marked difference between your tone of conversation with the common people and your tone of conversation with the Prophet of Allah. And no one should talk to him in a voice that is louder than his own. You see, this etiquette was taught for sitting in the Prophet's assembly, and the addressees were the people who were living in his time. The people of these later ages, our own time, we should also observe the same respect and reverence. On the occasion, even when we are not with the Prophet, even when his name is mentioned, we should revere that name. And when his command is being recited to us in form of hadith, we should respect that recitation. Or when the sayings of the Prophet are being explained, we should revere it. And not to be like, that one is sunnah now, that was sunnah. Then you use your hand to dismiss it because they say it is sunnah. That is still part of lack of respect. The verse also points out the attitude of people, the one people should adopt when you are talking to people of higher rank than you. People of higher rank and status than yourself. A person talking before the men of a higher rank in a way as he talks before his friends or the common men is a sign of disrespect. And people should recognize the differences among the people. Now, I want us to look very deeply into this. There are people that are higher than you in position. There are people that are higher than you in rank. And there are people that are older than you even in age. Under no circumstance should you disrespect any of them. Look, to the extent that even if they are not Muslims, When Allah sent Musa والسلام, to Fir'aun, Allah said, when you get to him, فَقُلْ لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا, speak mildly to him. Don't shout on him. When you get there, you be like, Your Excellency, Your Royal Highness, Almighty Allah has sent me to you. Those kind of things, those are the words we should use. So there's nothing wrong, brothers and sisters in Islam. There's nothing wrong when you meet somebody in his office for you to show a little respect, even if the person is your friend. Show a little respect, even if, let's say the person is not even your friend. You don't know the person, you're in the person's office, you behave yourself. You don't go there and be chatting and be laughing and be talking in some ways. Respect yourself. If you don't respect them, then you have disrespected yourself. When you are with people that, like the lawyers, for example, they know this very well. In fact, they train them a lot in this. When you are in the court, there's where you address the judge. Sometimes you even take permission before you can approach the bench. If you want to present some evidences or additional things, you seek permission before you even speak about it. You don't talk out of line, out of order, until you are permitted to talk. And even when you are going to do that, you speak and you address him with decorum. And there are some dressings, there are some codes, there are some appearances that you must you must consider and that you must conform with before you approach the bench or even appear in the court. This is respect. This is respect. And I want you to see, the people who respect each other the most are the militaries. No matter who you are, no matter your age, if somebody is higher than you in rank, you have to show that respect. And some of them, they have learned to show respect over and over to the extent that even you that's a civilian, they will have said yes sir to you before they realize that you are a civilian. Can somebody switch off this fan? And this one? Yes, please do that. You know, we are personal. I feel as if it's drying me up just in my head. I'm trying to conserve. Yes, thank you. Now, what I'm talking about is that respect of ranks, respect of people that are higher than you in status, respect of the military. That's the one I was given as example. All of the other uniformed personnel, they show utmost respect to one another. And this is a lesson for all of us. In our everyday life, in the place of work, whatever thing you do, you must learn to show that respect. And why? Because you are a believer. Let them be wondering, how come you are talking like that? You say, I'm talking about that's what Islam teaches. You are higher than me in rank, and so I have to respect you. And before you know it, this begins to go round. Because you respect others, they will continue to respect you too. So Allah says, don't even raise your voice high. The same way you show this respect to your parents. You don't walk in front of them. You don't shout on them. You don't raise your voice ahead of theirs. And you don't have opinions that are superior to them and you drop it on them. You have to speak with honor. And this, brothers and sisters in Islam, let's begin to teach and train our children on this. And I'm serious. I'm very, very serious about this. Let's begin to train our children on how to address us from the home and how to address other people. You are talking and your child says, Mommy, it's a lie. And you see, that's not the respect. That's not how to talk to a mother. And you are talking to your son as a father, and the child like, Daddy, are you pranking me? I'm not saying people should not be familiar, you know what I mean? Not that people should not be free with one another, but there are some instances where your child should not be looking at you like that when you are talking. Or your child will be grumbling and you hitting the feet on the ground. During those days, who did that to the parents? Before you know it, one very heavy knock has landed on your head. You'll be shocked that your mother's hand was that long. Although I'm not saying that's a very nice one. But your mother's hand will be so long, it will reach your head before you even move away from that. Are you talking like that? Then when they give it to you like that, you swallow spittle. And you wonder what just befell you. There was discipline then. Now let us discipline the children to learn how to address people with honor and respect, to learn not to shout on people, to learn not to talk down on people, to learn not to be arrogant towards the people. All of these things were taught that time. In respect of ordinary people in the street, the most sort of rudeness should be avoided, because some people are very uncivilized in their conduct. For other people, we should not be rude towards them. Talk less of people of knowledge. When you address a scholar, address them with respect. Like those of you who have professors in your schools, you have to respect them. You have to honor them. I remember when I was doing a study, one of my professors, whenever he entered, I used to stand up to greet him. And he used to respect me a lot. I'd say, no, I have to do that for you, sir. He said, no, why do you always stand up? Whenever I say it's in honor of you, that's how we do. He said, you these Muslim people, because he's not a Muslim, you these Muslim people. I said, that's how we are. That's how we do. And he kept saying that everywhere he went, that all the Muslims he ever supervised their thesis, this is how they were. He will not be correcting you and you'll be arguing with him. If he was saying something, you say, yes, sir, noted, sir. Then you write down whatever he was saying. You take him serious. Sometimes we say, no, you don't have to write. I'll say, not to forget what you have said, sir. It's a very important point, sir. Then everything you say, you be like, sir, all over whatever you say. He didn't know that it is Allah and His Rasul that has taught us all of that. So what I'm trying to say is, let us shun rudeness, crudeness, uncivilized ways of behaving. Learn to show respect and give honor to whoever honor is due. May Allah make it easy for all of us and guide us right. Please, let's do one or two more verses and then we can have our lives back. Bismillah.
إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله. Indeed, those who lower their voices before the message of Allah, أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى. They are the ones whose heart has been tested and proven for righteousness. لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. For them is forgiveness and great reward. That means those who are not rude and crude, those who lower their voices before the message of Allah, they are the ones who Allah has tested, and Allah can say, Allah can prove your righteousness by the way you show respect to others. Did you get that just now? So in my own opinion, I want to submit that even between husband and wife, the women who show utmost respect to their husbands, these are the ones that truly have that iman. I'm not talking about a rubbish, ruffian husband, though. I'm not talking about some husbands who are uncultured, who are uncivilized, and they shout on their wives. When you shout on women, they will shout back on you. Take that from me. And the angels will look the other way. They will not even write it down that she shouted on you. Somebody calling his wife, are you stupid? You are a fool. You are stupid. You are crazy. A man that's talking like that, what does he expect from the wife? So what I'm trying to say is respect begets respect, especially in a family. But we want it to be that women should be women. Women should be, respectable and respectful. Women should be honorable and honoring. Women should be calm. We should find them to be feminine. When a supposed to be feminized woman is now becoming masculinized, then we begin to have all of these conflicts in the marriage that we have never had before. In some marriages, the husband is now the one tying wrapper now. Because the wife will shout on him and he'll keep quiet. In some marriages now, because of some of the things the women do, and I'm serious about this thing, and I want to interject it here for the purpose of those of you who counsel other people. When a woman had gone too far in doing things that a man should be doing in the home, when a woman is the one that is working hard and providing for the family, after a while, this feminine nature of hers will begin to reduce. and she begins to adopt something that is masculine. This is natural, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. When the woman had to fend for herself, when the woman had to worry about what she will eat, when the woman had to be concerned about finances in the family, she begins to adopt the muscle of a man. Both physical muscle, mental muscle, and psychological muscle of a man. Then she begins to develop some testosterone in her system. And this begins to become imbalanced with her own natural hormone. And then she begins to take up certain decisions that she's not supposed to take in life. The natural way that will make a woman to show utmost respect in this way we are saying, to speak calmly, to talk like a woman with almost 0 decibel in her voice, in the volume of her voice, to speak so softly like a cat that is walking on Persian rug. It is the kind of care that the man gives to her, in the kind of way the man treats her like a vessel, like a delicate Chinese ceramics, Taiwanese vase. It is the way he treats her that will give her that feminine way of speaking. Gone are those days when the voice of a woman sounds like the voice of a woman. Gone are those days when a woman will laugh, she will laugh like a woman. When a woman will walk, she will walk like a woman. No, she will not even just walk, she will flow like a woman. A woman is supposed to be flowing, not even to be walking. You will not even see her walk. She will be flowing. I'm exaggerating. When a woman sits with her candor and honor and respect, a butterfly will almost perch on her head, mistaking her for a flower. That is when the feminine nature of a woman is still maintained naturally. When she doesn't have to care about what she will eat in the morning. When the woman will wake up in the morning after her adhkar, the way the Prophet taught his wife some adhkar. After her adhkar, she likes to take a nap. After that nap, she wants to fix her fingers. After that, she likes to fix her hair. And after that, she likes to dress for her husband. And then she wake up and cook whatever she wants to cook. Are we still in this world? When a woman doesn't have to bother about where school fees will come from. When a woman doesn't have to think about what color of dress she wants to buy next because the husband already knows and understands. When a woman doesn't have to wake up in the morning and meet up with an appointment to be at work. When a woman doesn't have to wake up in the morning and the first thing is she's preparing to not to beat the traffic. She doesn't have the time to be feminine anymore. She doesn't have the time to be the woman that she wants to be. She doesn't have the time to be lazy in relaxing. She doesn't have the time to be in the house and be, what do you call it, doing yoga. She doesn't have, ya salam. Oh, what have we turned our women into? Oh, Allah, please forgive us, forgive us. Oh, Allah, please forgive us. Please forgive us, Ya Allah. When she cannot just relax, when she cannot just talk without the husband judging her, when she cannot just behave the way a woman behaves and nobody is judging her. Many ladies now have forgotten how to be women. Some ladies, when they speak sometimes, you don't even hear them very clearly. It's the husband who understands them when they speak. Because, they never needed to shout now. They never needed to shout. They never needed to disobey their husband. What is there to disobey with all of this? And with his spending and his effort to take care of all of this? Maintaining all of this? Brothers, may Allah make you to be masculine. May Allah make... Nobody is saying Amin. You are saying Amin in your mind. Better say it loud now. This is Ramadan. When they look at your wife, they say, these women, they are spoiled Muslim women. Do you know some people used to say that? They're spoiled Muslim women. Yes, they don't struggle, they don't work, they don't do anything. They wear the latest clothes, they ride the latest cars, they go on Umrah anytime they want, they go to China for shopping, they go to Dubai to buy underwears. They say these are spoiled. I love it when people say that. It gives me some joy when some non-Muslims say that. They'll say, look at the colors of their skins. They say, see how they are shining. They are not worried, they are not troubled, they are not disturbed. Yes, they still get the best in life. They don't miss their prayers, they fast, they do everything that people do, and they are still calm. This is how to get a woman that will not shout. But when it is, hello, Abu, I've been calling you since. Why are you not picking my call now? This is the 15th I'm calling you. I told you the other time that gas has finished, and then the food has finished, and everything is finished in the house. And I kept calling you, didn't pick your call. Now they send the children home for school fees now. There's no food to eat. Don't come home without any food. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. I repeat it again. And when a woman has been pushed to the wall, she goes crazy. She doesn't even know that she's a woman anymore. Oh, Allah, have mercy on. Oh, Allah, please forgive us. You see, I'm saying my own too much. Am I exaggerating? Eh? Astaghfirullah. Am I exaggerating? Mrs. Adeyemi, I wanted to ask you to help me look at the hands of these ladies. How many of them is wearing lali? Please help me look. No, I'm not supposed to be looking. How many of you is wearing lali? Except my sister there. Well, I wasn't looking. Oh, Allah. I'm telling you what is really paining me, honestly. I'm feeling very sad. The hands of so many of the women are like hands of farmers. Very hard. Pray that she should not slap you with that hand.
I think by this time.
Some other ladies will have time to fix their nails. They will have time to paint those things. They will have time to put on their legs too. They will have time to, something they use in pressing their bodies. They will do massage for them. They take them to spa, or they ask the spa to come to the house. And this woman will eat good food. The food that even if she wanted to shout, her voice will break because she has been eating soft food. Not fufu. But fufu get level now. There's some kind of fufu that if you eat it, 3 days you'll be constipated. And when you eat eba, to some extent, you start speaking with coarse voice. There's no way eba can be so. Then your voice will be like, as if you are one Agbero from Lagos. Then that's how you start speaking. Then your voice will just sound like sandpaper. That's how you start talking there. You don't shout tire, madam. You don't shout tire. Oh, Allah have mercy on these women. Please take care of them for us. Yes, you people are supposed to be ladylike. You spend like 3 hours. Somebody will think you don't have anything to do. You spend like 3 hours, making your hair. It's a lot of joy for women to sit down like that, be reading newspapers or reading magazines or be watching TV while somebody is massaging their feet for them. When are we going to get there? You see, I'm mentioning all of this for you to lose the background of soft voice for a woman. Before you can elicit or you can extricate soft voice from a woman, you have to have treated her like a woman. Feminine and feminized. So that there's nothing like testosterone in her system. And so when a woman had consistently built up testosterone up until the age of 40 and above, that is when some women will just suddenly change. All of these things of midlife crisis will grip them. Menopausal signs will come in. They begin dealing with anxiety. They begin dealing with depressions. They begin dealing with anger, with resentment, with irritability. They begin getting edgy about almost everything. You look at them, the way they talk to their children, you see this woman is going wild. The way she disciplines her children, you know that something is wrong with this woman. You see that there's a kind of anger, there's a kind of vendetta that has built up in her because testosterone should not be part of her hormone. It is after the age of 45 or 40 and above that you hear a woman says, I want a divorce. Most of the women, majority of women who ask for divorce, they are past 40. And that woman is ready to down all consequences. I have children, I don't care. We build the house together, I don't care. We suffer together, I don't care. I'm just tired. I want out. When a woman has almost reached 45, she's asking for divorce, she has gotten testosterone overdose. No woman walks away from a marriage that is pampering her. No woman walks away from a marriage that is kind towards her. No woman walks away from a man that's not crude and cruel towards her. Because that's how Allah has created them. And that's why they will be in paradise before us. Because the men will enter paradise and meet women there. Go and read any hadith. We will meet these women there. The Uru Ain that Allah is talking about, do you think Allah will manufacture them from somewhere? It is these ones. You better take good care of your wife now so that she don't behave like a bush woman in Al-Jannah. They will now put all sorts of logic for her. She will be like, I don't know how they do this thing. Don't go and embarrass yourself. Honestly, I'm saying something serious. It's something that's bothering my mind about the way these things are going. It is not normal now. Why? It's not normal. It's not normal. Husband and wife, both of you are taking your bath, getting ready to go to work at the same time. And then if the woman is kind enough, she will prepare food. Husband has lunch box. Wife has lunch box. Children have lunch box. How many women ever had decent lunch for years on end? Decent lunch that is well prepared, slow food, not fast food, in the afternoon. How will she be beautiful? If Astaghfirullah, you say my own is too much about this matter, I'm sorry. That's why I say, let us try and let us pray, let us strive, let us look towards this. I was mentioning earlier on that how many people can give zakat. If you can't give zakat, that means you can't take care of these women. Talk less of their children that are coming up and learning from them. Many of these children now, they have even started learning how to hustle. Mommy, we have plenty Indomie. Should I sell it in school? These children have started learning how to hustle for life because they know that life is not easy for the mother especially. And many of the women, their face, they look like men. They are even beginning to look like men. When you see that your wife is beginning to resemble you, that means she has too much testosterone in her. A woman is supposed to look like a woman, speak like a woman, behave like a woman. So that these are part of the taqwa. This is the point I'm trying to make. You get it now. These are part of our taqwa, the ones that Allah wants to see. And quickly give me one more verse there.
إن الذين ينادونك من وراء الحجرات أكثرهم لا يعقلون
ولو أنهم صبروا
أنهم صبروا حتى تخرج إليهم لكان خيرا لهم والله غفور رحيم.
Allah Akbar. This is another lesson for us to learn. Allah says, Inna ladhina yunadunaka min wara'il hujurat. As for those who call you, Rasulullah, from behind the Hujurat. What did I call Hujurat? Rooms, you remember? Yes, those who call behind the Hujurat, aktharuhum la ya'qilun. Many of them are crazy. This is my own translation. You can't find that in English translation. They mainly put that they don't have reason, or they mainly put it that they don't have sense. You know, but I think they are crazy. Why do I say that? You remember those who used to come to the prophet, you know, from all walks of life, like we were explaining. You remember them? Some of them would now like come. There was no GSM, there was no fax, there was no email to say, Ya Rasulullah, we from so-so village, we are coming, you don't want to come and visit you. They will now come at any odd hours. And some of them are villagers. When they come and say, where is the prophet's house? They say, if you enter into the mosque, that door you are looking at, that's the prophet's house. And they be like, but the door is locked now. That means he has locked his door. They will now turn around the mosque. You get it just now. They now turn around the mosque, going by the back of the building, back of the house. Salam alaikum. Muhammad. Salam alaikum. Say, no, maybe he's not with this wife. Let's try the place that looks like the back of the house of another one. Which one is Aisha herself? Then, Salam alaikum, Rasulullah. We are people from so and so. We want to come and see you. The prophet really saw something, That time, it so happened that the prophet was not feeling happy about that. But he couldn't talk because, he was like the head of state. And everybody needed his attention. And they became so rude, so uncivilized. They will shout, they will talk from distance. And Allah says, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ صَبَرُوا. If only they could be patient, حَتَّى تَخْرُجَ إِلَيْهِمْ. Until when you come out to them, لَكَانَ خَيْرٌ لَهُمْ. It will have been better for them. وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. But Allah is forgiving and merciful, because some of them don't even know the difference in all of these things. The people who, in that time, when they received all of this training in Islamic etiquette, it is then that they began to know how to have full regard for somebody. Many times it so happened that it is one thing for you to have accepted Islam, it's another thing for you to understand the etiquette of relating with people, just like we said earlier on. And so Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now trying to warn the believers then, and all of us too. Because somebody is your leader doesn't mean you shouldn't have any rest. Because somebody is your imam doesn't mean you shouldn't respect his own private time. Because somebody is familiar and close to you doesn't mean you should barge on them at wrong hours. You see a lot of this also explained in some other Suratul Ahzab and so on and so forth. That even when you come and you knock, you ask for permission, first time, second time, third time, it's okay. If they don't open for you, then go away. Please let us have that respect for each other's privacy. For married men and married women, please, anything after Isha, I don't think there should be visitors unless it's a matter of life and death. It's then some people will now come to your house and they will stay, they will be talking and gisting. They think you are enjoying their company. Whereas you want to go, you want to relax. And so many women have complained to me over many years too. Imagine the woman after Isha, she will be able to remove her hijab. Even if it's only one room, self-contained, that she's staying with her husband. Because she should by now know that no visitor is coming. But it is then the husband is packing all of his friends, riff-raffs. He will pack them to come to the house to come and eat. After eating, they will still stay, they will not go away. And the woman will be like wearing hijab, everywhere in the house. It's inconvenient now. How do you treat your wife? This is why those people who make their wives to be, what do they call them? These women that they stay and nobody goes inside their apartments. Bashiga, yes. This is why I really respect people who do that. If we start saying that now, some people will be like, no. Bashiga. This same bashiga is what people that are civilized, this is what they do. Civilized people have their privacy, and you don't just barge in anyhow. If you are not invited and you are not expected, you don't go into their house, to their homes or to their living quarters. Not anyhow. So in other words, the bashiga thing is even a more civilized way of life. So that the women can have their lives. And the man too, please, you should shiga in good time. Go inside your house at the right time. And stay, learn to stay, brothers. Learn to spend time with your family. After Isha, what is this moving around you are doing? Unless that is in an extreme case that you have to pursue your business to that extent. But what business are you pursuing till 11 p.m., till 12 midnight, till 1 a.m.? These are habits of uncivilized people. And we know them now. When they go out, they go get drunk and they come home 1 a.m. That's how uncivilized people behave. But you that say you are a believer, you say you are looking for a job, you are looking for a contract, and 1 a.m. you are coming home. It's not nice now. That's not the kind of job you should look for. So my prayer is, may Allah bless and provide for all of us. Some of these things I'm saying, they are easier said than done. We all understand the situation of things. But not until you begin to think that some things are not normal before you begin to move on the path of normalcy. Many of us are crazy. And we have driven ourselves crazy because of the circumstances and the situations we have found ourselves. But let us not be carried away by situations and circumstances. Let us stand by what Allah and His Rasul have put in place for us. In a nutshell, all we have been talking about are just the first part. I think we reached 5 verses. Yes, that is just the first 5 verses of how to relate with Allah and His Rasul. And we, by extension, learn how to relate ourselves within ourselves, so that we can show utmost respect and honor to one another. And everything that's going to guarantee that respect and honor, let us begin to walk on the path of that. Respect and honor for yourself as a man. Please, brothers, Allah has commanded the women to respect us. We should also learn to respect ourselves. Take care of yourself. Mind your manners. Mind your behaviors. Stop keeping malice. Stop shouting on the women. If you have some frustration from outside, please drop it before you enter into the house. By the time you enter into the house, don't enter like a lion. Enter like a sweetheart, like a darling that is expected. Enter in a grand style like a king that is expected. A king that is being welcomed into his palace. If you didn't learn this culture, brothers begin to be cultured. To the extent that it is said that among the etiquettes of going to the houses as a man, you even say Assalamu alaikum before you enter. You don't just barge in because that's your house. You say Assalamu alaikum and you say something like that. And I remember when we used to follow the brothers of Ahlul Sunnah around, they used to teach us a lot of this etiquette. They said even when you are coming from a journey, you send somebody to the house and say, Assalamu alaikum, I have arrived. I'll be coming to the house in the next 1 hour, for example. That was then. Now there is telephone. You let send text message. You let them know that you are coming. You even ask your wife, do you need anything from outside? Do you need anything from ShopRite? Do you need anything from South Store? Do you need anything from Nataliza? Allahu Akbar. Yes, I'm just driving in front of Market Square now. Do you need anything? Allahu Akbar. You see, I have a lot of imagination. They can be very strange sometimes. Do you need anything from outside? You like ask those things. And that I'm almost home, or I got some ice cream for you. I don't want it to melt before I come. You know that kind of thing now, you know. I hope there is fuel in the gen. I'm on my way home. Isn't it nice? If you do that, you will be respected. Even if you don't have much. Wallahi, I'm telling you, you'll be respected. Even if there's no plenty money. When you say, should I branch a supermarket, it is just bread you want to buy you. Bread you want to buy and 1 sardine. But at least it is it is appreciated. And you, madam, that they told you that they are coming. It is then you are now remembering you want to start picking beans. Ika, wicked woman. Sorry, I don't know how to say that in English. It is then you now want to start picking beans. It's already close to their house. You know that the shop is talking about it just by the corner. You just say, hey, please buy bread. I want to start picking beans. Abba, what kind of a woman is that? And then your husband comes in, now you just emerge from the kitchen smelling of kerosene. What kind of thing is that? May Allah bless you women so that you take care of yourselves too. You two should behave like queens. Let us learn to be cultured. This is what I'm trying to emphasize. It is one thing to be a Muslim. It's another thing to be cultured. To be cultured is part of the iman that we are talking about. This is summary of all I'm been trying to say. To say that we are believers, to be cultured is part of that exhibition of that belief, true belief in Almighty Allah. So let the woman also try, even though you don't have too much money. At least give yourself peace of mind now. Don't use that one to be shouting and be worrying and be troubling yourself about the children, about your husband, about everything, to the extent that you forget how to even be yourself. So many of you women, because of hustle, because of struggle, you don't even remember how to be women again, how to be feminine anymore. Please, discipline yourself now. Try. It may be very difficult. Try to just be a woman. Spend time to take care of yourself. Spend time to, do those things that women like to do. I hope you understand. If you have small money and you are working, please buy things for yourself. Buy things for yourself. I'm very serious with this I'm saying, because I know many of you like to sacrifice a lot. You like to, give all to your family. But in the midst of that, try to rest. Try to sleep. Try to relax. Try to spend some time without being in the kitchen all the time. As the children are growing, let them learn to do some things by themselves. Let them learn to take care of you as much as possible. Train them to respect you. Train them to revere you. Train them to consider you as a human being. Train them to care for you also. If you can try to do this, then this culture of being civilized, of taking life easy, will become entrenched in us, and our children are going to learn to behave like that towards us. The iron hand with which we were brought up, we shouldn't put that in our children also. The way we were brought up in a very hard way, we shouldn't do it to them too. I know many of us there, we grew up thinking that agbo, what's agbo in English? Herbs, yes, traditional herbs. Yes, I'm just using it as an example. Honestly, up till now, some of us don't know that agbo that is so bitter that when you drink it, your face will squeeze up. Many of us don't know that if you add honey to sweeten it and drink it, it will still work. How many people knew that before now? That if you add honey, it will still work. Because honey will do its own work, the agbo will do its own work. But we didn't know because we were brought up the hard way. And we thought that the more bitter, let me use another English, the bitterer, the better. That's what we used to think. We used to think the more you suffer, the better the future would be. Okay, as you don't suffer now, the future don't bright. So I'm trying to say that let's stop suffering. Let's stop suffering. Let us be taking things easy with ourselves. I hope I'm not overflogging this issue. I always say this every time. If you remember, I always like to say this a lot. You people struggle a lot for this deen. Islam needs you. Islam needs you. Before now, we used to think we are children of Islam. By doing MSS and doing many things, we used to think we are children of Islam, but now we are no longer children of Islam. We are parents of Islam. Because we are the ones to give back to these ones. We are the ones to train the children that will uplift Islam for real. Stop looking at yourselves like children. We are now parents. We give back to the children. We are to train them by our own examples. That is not the amount of hard life. Let them learn that zakat